In the Afghan capital, Kabul, direct assaults on education are very rare. There's no need for guards at the newly opened Syed Yusuf Elmi School.
Nice to meet you. Do you like school? I think that's a yes. This is a brand new school. It's less than a month old, and it has around 600 children here, boys and girls, who are really enthusiastic about learning. And in fact, education as a whole across Afghanistan is held up as a success story. There's nearly 6 million children in schooling now, far more than there ever were under the Taliban. But if you scratch under the surface, if you take a really close look at what's happening with education in Afghanistan, you get a very different picture.
The principal of the new school describes the frustrations of the first few weeks.
Our big problem's not having a proper school building. This building's rented, so we're pressed for space. We've up to 55 students in one classroom, and it's hard for teachers and students to concentrate on what's being taught. To solve this problem, the people of the community have allocated land for a school building, but we've no budget to build one.
Requests to the Ministry of Education for school books have so far gone unanswered. So some children bring their own and share them with their classmates. There are no proper blackboards. The desks and benches are borrowed from another school. There's no drinking water and no proper sanitation.
I'm so frustrated with the attitude of the government. They don't seem to care about what's happening to us. When we go to the authorities with our demands, they send us from one place to another. Schools don't seem to be high on their priorities.
We've always been told, you prioritize, that when you rebuild a nation, especially from the ashes of the war, everything seems to be priority, ranging from security, police, army, to education, health, roads, electricity, drinking water. And in this competition of priorities, it has always been my appeal to my own government as well as the international community that education is not just about your future, it's about this country now. So then lack of education, good education, can also mean more insecurity for Afghanistan and the rest of the world.
What is your name? My name is Firishta. Radio.
But whatever the resources available for education, in Afghanistan nothing is possible without the commitment and spirit of its teachers.
SRT.
Torpikai, who teaches English at the new school in Kabul, is one of many examples of a teacher who has kept her resolve under extreme duress. During the period of Taliban rule in the late 90s, she lost her job as a school teacher. So she ran secret classes from her apartment on a bleak Soviet-built estate on the edge of Kabul. She taught Quranic studies and English. She only advertised the Quran lessons. But the local Taliban officials found out and punished her by evicting her from her apartment. When she left Kabul, she defiantly started to teach English again, away from the city.
When the
Taliban came to power, the teachers had to stay home. It was chaos. But in the last few years, the education system has become very good. Now the children are coming to school with great passion.
How Torpikai keeps her passion for teaching is incredible. In the years of civil war that led to Taliban rule, her life was all but destroyed. She lost her brother in battle. After that, her husband. And then, in a rocket attack, a son and a daughter.
I'll never forget my daughter's death. She was an extremely good girl. If I could, I would give these 4 walls to have her back.
Despite all this, Torpikai continues to teach the next generation of children with devotion. And Adia, the daughter who survived the rocket attack, has inherited from her mother this positive attitude to life and to learning.
My mother doesn't tell us the story very often because she knows that it will make us sad. I don't like war. I want to continue my education so that I can be something in the future. But I want peace, and I don't want people to die in the fighting again.
In war zones like Afghanistan, Iraq and Gaza, many people would agree with Adia's sentiments and her priorities. They try to get on with their lives as best they can, despite the violence that surrounds them. At the Al-Mari school in Gaza, it's business as usual. Students and teachers alike are caught up in the tensions of the end-of-year exams. For headmistress Fatma Al-Sumeri, however, the violence is never far from her mind. It's her responsibility to ensure that students are safe when fighting breaks out. But this being Gaza, the unpredictable is just about to strike.
We usually take the students downstairs to safety. When they're upstairs, That's a rocket.
It's a Qassam rocket being directed towards Israel by a group of Hamas fighters.
The fighters rarely come close. They usually use the open space in that direction. There's another one.
Israel responds within minutes. Rockets are dispatched by a drone. It's unclear who the victims are, and Fatma, whose house is near the site of the attack, is in a panic. Luckily, Fatma's family was safe. However, 2 Hamas fighters were struck. One was severely wounded, the other killed. Within a couple of hours, the corpse of the dead man is at the mortuary in Khan Yunis, being prepared for the funeral. He is 23-year-old Tahrir Abdel Ghafour. As well as being a fighter for Hamas, he is a second-year physics student at Gaza University and a former student at Al-Mari school. The young fighter's death was witnessed by some of the boys still studying there. Is it bravado or shock that makes their account of the event seem so detached?
Me and my cousins were having tea outdoors, and we heard the firing of missiles. We got up to look, because I like seeing the missiles going off. It's a hobby. And then we saw a missile that was fired in return by an Israeli drone.
The rocket went straight into his chest, here, and came out the other side. The shrapnel went into his face, and he was martyred. The other guy's legs were severed here, and we took him to the ambulance. At first, everyone was scared to get near him, but then we all went to help. When you're watching someone dying on TV, you won't be touched like you are if you see someone dying in front of your eyes. It's a weird scene. Everyone panicked. They started crying. I cried too.
By the next day, Tahrir has become another of the many young faces of dead fighters that stare out from the walls of Gaza. Here was someone who had managed to succeed in education against all the odds, but whose success was subverted by a lifetime of conflict. The women of his family surround themselves with evidence of his achievements, his sports trophies, his school certificates.
He was a calm, good-mannered kid. When we sent him to kindergarten, he always came first.
من هو في الابتدائية مش كانوا اليهود على الحدود قباله عدل يعني إن صار أي حاجة تحس في نفسه His elementary school was at the border, so he saw lots of things that affected him. One year after another, he saw that the injustice of the siege was increasing, and he refused to be humiliated. So as a child, he developed his personality accordingly. We didn't really know what was going on inside him.
It's inevitable that in a climate of war, some people will choose to fight and die. Ziad, Hazem and their friends have a different perspective. Just a couple of days ago, they witnessed a particularly hideous incident, but that hasn't distracted them from their dreams and ambitions.
In all these areas of conflict and uncertainty, one thing has really been striking, and that is the survival of hope. These children, these young people, even their parents, they believe their future is tied up with education. They want to learn, but they can only do that with help and support.
To get educated, the most important thing is their education. To become a teacher, an engineer, a physician, whatever God wishes for them.
I would like to be either a fashion designer or an Islamic education teacher. I am not like the others. I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
I am quite optimistic, although the statistics are not very good. But we have to remember that the children are the products of the environment. So if you create a new environment in which your children feel secure, they feel the warmth, they feel that their basic needs are met, they are not deprived, they are not living in a disparate environment, then you will have a new generation of children that can give you better hope for the future. Only if there is peace and security in the area, that, and of course, respect of human rights, then you will have a different environment, different generation of children.